Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Now the poem is taken from a collection of poems, an anthology, which is called as Gitanjali. He wrote Gitanjali in 1910, which was then translated in English in 1912. In 1913, the book was recognized and Rabindranath Tagore was awarded with the Nobel Prize. Gitanjali was written by one of the finest poets, as we know, Rabindranath Tagore, who played an important role in Indian literature. Tagore wrote this poem when India was under the clutch of British rule. India was not free, and freedom to them was like a daydream. Hence, there was a lot of remorse between and among people living in India. Tagore wanted people and their thoughts to be free. Tagore was born on 7th May 1861. He died on 7th August 1941. Now in the entire poem, he talks about his way of expressing freedom. He talks about how he expects Indians to be free, their thoughts to be free. So let us just go through the poem. Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. In this first line, Rabindranath Tagore expresses and he says that there should not be any discrimination among people. There should not be any division among people on the basis of caste, class or religion. He also says that knowledge should be free. In his line he says where knowledge is free, which means there should not be any discrimination on giving education to people. There should be free access to education. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic wall. Narrow domestic walls are basically the prejudice that we practice, the kind of discrimination that we have between people depending on their class, caste, color, the creed. By fragments he means division. So he says that there should not be any division or discrimination among people depending upon their class, caste or color. Where words come out from the depth of truth. Okay, he says that every individual should focus on truth. They should not get manipulated by what is happening around. They should not manipulate the truth. Rather, speak truth, stand for truth. Where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection. He says that when there are people who want to work hard, who work tirelessly, then there should not be any kind of force that could hold you back. He says that tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, which means that when you work hard towards something, when you've given all your efforts, then you can achieve your goals easily. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of death habit. Okay. Now during that time, during independence or pre-independence, people believed a lot in superstition. They had a lot of rituals that they believed in without knowing the actual reason of why that is being practiced. So he says that one should not believe in superstition. One should know or have a logical outlook on why certain thing is being practiced, or should think properly and then reason out. During pre-independence, people believed mostly in superstitious beliefs. They practiced rituals without understanding why it is being done or without having a logical reason behind the practice. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead life or that habit, which means that one should understand and logically think of why we need to practice and believe into a particular thing, and only then indulge into it. Dreary desert sand and dead habit basically means illogical thinking or superstition. Where the mind is led forward by thee. Now here, by thee, the poet refers to God. Thee means God. Okay, he says, lead us to the right path. He prays to God to lead the people towards right path without getting manipulated, without believing into any superstition, without being hit by any illogical thought. into ever widening thought and action. He says, let us constantly work hard. Let there be a stretch of improvement in people, in their action, in their thoughts. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Now here, the poet directly talks about the country as a whole. Okay, he says, heaven of freedom. Heaven of freedom means country, where people live freely, where they can think freely, where they can speak freely. Okay, my Father, okay, he refers to God. Let my country awake. Let the country, the people living in the country, awaken themselves with logical thinking, with logical reasoning, of understanding of how they have to go about in life, of how much they have to believe in truth and not get manipulated. Now to sum up the poem, okay, we'll have to understand that the entire poem is about the prayer that the poet is asking God. It's a prayer to God where the poet is asking or seeking for help. So that was about the poem. Now to conclude, Rabindranath Tagore reveals his personal thought, a personal quest for freedom, personal quest for divine. It is a thought-provoking poem where Tagore composed the poem thinking about how he looks towards his country, how he wants his country to be, how he wants his countrymen to be. He wrote it during the time where, like I told you, India was under the clutches of British rule, where people were afraid of expressing what they thought, expressing their ideologies. Freedom to them was like a daydream. This poem is written in a form of a prayer to God. He urges God throughout the poem with his concept of freedom. Now each one of us have a different concept of freedom. This was his concept of freedom, where he thought that people need to have freedom to express, people need to have freedom to support truth and not get manipulated by the false beliefs that have been carried out or practiced. This was written during pre-independence. It was not post-independence, it was pre-independence. Hence, the poet could express himself properly, or he could actually bring out his ideology of what the freedom he looks forward to. Now there are a few keywords that you need to kind of pinpoint or mark in the poem. That is freedom, truth, free education, no illogical thought, rather logical thinking, no discrimination, and hard work, which will ultimately lead you to your goal. Now besides the explanation of the poem, we will look at the literary devices that have been brought out in this poem. Okay, now there are 4 literary devices that have been brought out. First one being personification. Now what is personification? You have already started literary devices in your 7th standard. Let's just go through again. Personification, where a non-living thing, a non-living entity is given human quality. Alright. Metaphor, which is similar to simile, but simile we give a direct comparison. Your metaphor, there is indirect comparison between the two. Synecdoche, where one word sums up the entire poem. Now in the poem, we will see heaven of freedom. Now it's just one word, okay, which sums up the entire poem. How we look towards freedom. What is his concept of freedom? The entire concept is, unwinded or into one word, that is heaven of freedom. Apostrophe, where he is expressing, where he is trying to express himself to something which may not be visible during that particular time. Now in the entire poem where the poet is praying to God, okay, there is no God present around, or there is no God which he is visible to him, but yet he is saying the prayer, he is trying to express his views about freedom, which is apostrophe, where he is expressing his views. Students, I hope you have understood the poem. If you have, please write a small summary on the entire poem, which we actually call as appreciating the poem. Write a small appreciation about the poem, which will make you understand whether you have understood the thoughts of the poet, whether the thoughts of the poet have actually been brought out well in the poem or not. Thank you very much.